So, guys, my computer actually died on me earlier this week. So, I'm not exactly sure when you're going to be viewing this, if it's going to be on our normal Sunday class time or if it's going to be the next week or during the next day. I don't know. I am going to be borrowing a computer in order to try and edit things, but I'm borrowing a Windows machine and I usually work with Mac. So it's going to be a different software for me, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to put it out today or not, which I am filming it on Sunday. I usually film the same day that I upload. I usually film, edit, and upload all on Sunday. So we're just going to wing it, and at least I will have this filmed for you, so that way whenever it comes out, you will be able to enjoy it. But I do feel bad that you have to wait. I did order a new computer since mine completely broke and died. They told me it's gonna be more money to fix it than it was worth. So I have purchased a new one, but it is in the mail and is on the way to me because the one that I wanted was not in the stores and had to be ordered. So I'm waiting, but I'm filming and I'm hoping that I'll be able to still get it out for you today. But whenever you guys do get to see it, even if it is a little late, I do hope you enjoy this class, and I am excited that at least I was still able to film for you and get it out as soon as possible. So thank you for your patience if it does end up late, and if not, then it all works out for everybody, doesn't it? And I hope you guys really enjoy this class, and let's go ahead and get into it. Welcome back, Fantasy Fiction Fanatics. It's great to see you again, and I hope you're doing well. Today's class is going to be very exciting for me, and I was really enjoying doing the prep work for this video, and it was one that was requested of me through the Discord. So thank you to everyone on the Discord who encouraged me to do this class, and of course to anybody who is not on the Discord, we'd be happy to have you and join in our conversations, and you're welcome to let me know there what you would like to see me do for a class in the future as well. But this all started a couple weeks ago when I had several people we were all discussing the favorite fantasy movies that we grew up with, or just in general what our favorites were. And several people said that they really enjoyed Willow, and that was one of their favorite movies, the 1988 Willow. And I had never seen it before. So I asked, what's that about? Apparently everybody is raving about it. And I was told I could not be a fantasy fanatic without watching Willow. So of course I had to rectify that. And I was also asked to watch it and do a review on it or a discussion. And so that is what I am doing today. I am going to be discussing Willow and letting you know what my thoughts are, discussions, and then kind of like a little review of how much I liked it or not. So thanks again to everyone in the Discord who participated in this creation of this class. I really enjoyed watching it and doing this prep work for the class today. So hopefully you guys enjoy it and you will join in on this discussion as well. Let me know what your thoughts and your feelings are on everything. I would love to hear if you liked this movie as well. So let's go ahead and jump right in. As I mentioned previously, my computer died earlier this week, so I am on my notes are on pencil and paper. So please, I hope that's not really a sentence. Amy, get it together, right? Please be patient with me. I hope I don't make too much wrestling with it, but as I usually have a printout paper, it's a little bit easier to look at my different notes. This one takes up a lot more pages handwritten. So if you hear a bunch of me rustling around, I'm sorry in advance, but I'm trying to just make sure I have everything that I want to say in mind with my notes here on my notebook. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right in. So first, let's just do a quick plot or synopsis of this story. Just for any of you who might be listening in and don't really know it or haven't seen it in a while and don't totally remember what it's about. But the basic plot is that Willow, I think he is called a Nulwyn, Nelwyn, I think that's Nulwyn, and or also known as like a little person. He is from a race of more shorter people. And he ends up finding a dakini, I think is what it was called, dakini, baby, and the Dakini baby is like a normal-sized human baby, and that is what they're called in this world. And that baby was sent down the river because is being chased by this queen who is trying to divert a prophecy that doesn't end well for her. So Willow ends up in charge of the well-being for this baby and making sure that it doesn't fall into the wrong hands. So, and it is a little baby girl. So that is the basic premise of what Willow is about. It's about Willow, who is in charge of keeping this baby safe for the time being, and his adventures that he has to go through in order to help protect her. So, right off the bat, let me just go ahead and talk about the quality as well as the plot line, just in general. So the quality of this movie was very surprising to me. It is from 1988, and I do know that it's a Lucasfilm production. It is by the same people who did Star Wars, which makes sense why the production value is so high. Star Wars was a very well done movie for its time, but it is a sci-fi movie, the Star Wars is, so being fantasy can be a little bit harder. There's different elements and stuff like that, but I think they did an excellent job at doing the actual quality of this film. For that time, the graphics are excellent. I feel like they age pretty well. The actors are pretty big actors in there, so they had really good quality of the people in it, really good quality of the actual filming of it, the actual graphics, or this, oh my gosh, left my brain, CGI. Obviously I don't really know if they actually had to use CGI for sure back at that time, but whatever their system was in order to create the fantasy elements, it was done excellently for its time, and I feel like I said, it aged really well. I was really happy and very surprised that the quality was as high as it was. I was really, really impressed, and didn't bother me at all watching it. Except for the brownies. The brownies, I will admit, were a little bit on the rougher side. They weren't that bad, but you could definitely tell that they were a little bit less organic looking. They looked a little bit more like they had been photoshopped. So, but overall, the quality, excellent. I really liked the plot. I really liked the storyline. I felt like it was a very good, complex, fully developed storyline. I really enjoyed the actual plot, the actual reasons that they had to do things, all that. I felt like it was a very well thought out, well written script and plot line, and we followed through really, really nicely. So there wasn't any weird moments in there. I wasn't really confused on anything. I felt like overall the actual execution of the story and the movie was really well done. So definitely props for, at that time, getting such a complex fantasy story done in a very well way, for not having as much of the CGI and as much of the special effects that we have today. Next, let's go ahead and talk about the characters. Not necessarily all of them, there are quite a few characters, but mostly some of the main ones. I picked 3 to go ahead and discuss in this class today. But if you'd like to talk about other characters, or there's something else that you think I missed that we just need to talk about, please let me know. I'd be happy to have that discussion with you. Okay, so the first character is Willow, of course, because he is our main character. So we have to go ahead and touch on him and his actor. Overall, I really, really liked Willow. I felt like he was a really good person. He was a really strong individual, especially for a group of people who are very peaceful, very easygoing, much more of a simple lifestyle. They're not ones that go out and, do war or try to do more than just have a nice life together. So he's someone who's very strong-willed, someone who's willing to risk his life and go out there on that adventure, even though that's not really the kind of lifestyle he was expecting to have or is used to having. So as far as his size goes, he's a smaller individual, but his heart and his courage and his willpower is very, very large. And his heart is such a big heart. He, at first, is reluctant to take care of the baby, but once it is under his protection, he really does whatever he can to protect her. He is going to do anything and everything to make sure that she has a good life and can make it through the people who are hunting her at this point. I really like that he was a little bit of a dreamer. I like that he had big dreams about being a sorcerer and of wanting to expand from what he was right now. So yes, he did have his normal farm life, and yes, he did, like, you know, he didn't want to go out and like live out an adventure in the beginning, but he definitely took it on, and he was a little bit of a dreamer. He wanted to exceed where he was at and was willing. I think that helps him being willing to step out of his comfort zone and make sure that the baby is taken care of. So overall, I think his dreams do come true. Those dreams that he had of becoming that sorcerer and of doing good was fulfilled in the end. And I think that this journey was something that made his dreams come true. And I liked that about him too, where he wanted something and he did in the end, even if he didn't expect it at first, find a way to chase after it and succeed where he wanted to be. So never gave up, very strong-willed, very good as a hero. He's a very good main character and someone who I really, really enjoyed. And also, of course, his actor was really great. I believe his actor's name is Warwick Davis. And I've seen him in several other things, fantasy related. I saw him in 10th Kingdom, if you guys have seen that, Acorn the Dwarf. If you haven't seen it, definitely highly recommend it. It's such a good miniseries. But he was in that, and of course he was Griphook in Harry Potter. So I already knew he was a good actor, and of course in this movie he was an excellent actor as well. So overall, just an excellent character, excellent actor to portray the character. So overall, really, really great. Next was Mad Mardigan. He's a very interesting character. He's also kind of a typical kind of character. I don't mean that he isn't original at all. Like, I do think he is a unique character in his own right, but he is also that kind of like rogue character where he like is the bad guy that doesn't really want to help you, but then ends up being, you know, having that heart of gold and jumping in anyway, even though that wasn't really what he wanted to do, or ends up being dragged into the adventure and then is like, okay, I'm gonna finish it. Maybe this is a obvious comparison considering George Lucas did do both Star Wars and Willow, but he kind of reminds me a little bit of like a Han Solo type of character, where he's kind of that rogue, suave, good-looking guy who kind of tricks you and is a scoundrel at first, but then ends up being really, really great guy in the end and ends up sticking with you and being very loyal throughout the end. So they had similar kind of feel to like a Han Solo character, but I really like those kind of characters. I really like the ones where they're a little tough around the edges and, you know, at first they're not on board, but then they realize that they just can't live with themselves unless they help out, because they really are a good guy in the end. So I really do like this character, Mad Mardigan. I think it's interesting that I was always thinking the way Willow said his name as like Mad Mardigan, like kind of that space in between, that I was thinking it was like Mad was just added. His name was Mardigan, but like his nickname had Mad in it. I don't know. I just thought it was weird that he kept calling him Mad Mardigan instead of just Mardigan, because I was thinking they were two different things. And then when I was doing the prep for this class, I was like looking at how to spell his name, making sure I had it correct. And then that's when I found out that it's like his whole name is Mad Mardigan. Like it's not two separate things, it's the whole name. Which makes more sense why he kept saying it, you know, instead of it being like a title or something like that, his whole name is Mad Mardigan. Did anybody, you like get that like disconnect a little bit, like thinking that the mad part wasn't part of his name and then realized that it was? Or was that just me? Maybe that was just me. But yes, so really liked this character. I like how we meet him, like in that cage, and where you just already know, like, he's lying. Of course he's not gonna take care of that baby. Of course it's not gonna work out that way. He just wants to get out of the cage. And of course that's exactly what happens. But then, of course, he also is a good guy and pulls through in the end after he is kind of drawn back into this adventure. He then ends up sticking with it and ends up doing really well. And at the end, of course, he ends up taking care of Alora and being her official dad in the end, which he originally promised to do and didn't do very well, but now we know he's going to stick to it and be a good father to her. As far as his actor goes, Val Kilmer is really, really great. I have know him mostly from The Saint. I haven't seen him from a lot of other things, but I do really like him in The Saint, and so I was already kind of predisposed to thinking I was going to like him in this movie, and he did not disappoint. He did an excellent job playing Mad Mortigan, and I felt like he actually fit a really good character, or he played the character really, really well. It really fit him and how he did the acting. Plus, the long hair looked really, really good on him, and I felt like it really fit that character as well. So great job for his actor as well as the character and how he was written. So overall, really loved Mad Mortigan as well, even if he was a little bit of that kind of typical scoundrel type character, and you could kind of guess a little bit about what he was going to do. But I think that's part of the appeal too, is sometimes you like having that kind of typical character and knowing a little bit about what might happen with that character. And last that I really want to point out and talk about is Sorsha. So Sorsha was our heroine, or our romantic interest for Mad Mardigan. And she was a little bit of a typical heroine as well, in the fact that you could kind of tell from the beginning that she was going to be the love interest. Not in a bad way, but just you could kind of guess that a little bit. At least I guessed that for sure. And I did think that she was a little bit unique, though, in the fact that she was, first of all, evil. So that was a little bit of a unique twist, is that she starts off as the evil person instead of somebody that just happens to enter into this conflict, or being, one of the people originally trying to save the baby. She ends up being the daughter of the queen who's trying to kill the baby. But overall, I really enjoyed her character. I like how she's tough and strong and somebody who can handle herself. Of course, she can't be completely evil in the fact that she does end up switching sides and becoming the side of good because she falls in love with Mad Mardigan. She does have good taste. I can't really blame her. He is a very good looking guy. He's a bit hunky, and the long hair really works on him. So I can't really blame her for falling in love with Mad Mardigan after he's professing his love for her after all that pixie dust makes him fall in love with her on sight. So I do really like her as a person. I do like her change, that the romance does lead her to becoming good and protecting the baby as well, and becoming her mother. So that was an interesting, it makes sense if Mad Mardigan is going to be her dad, that as the love interest she would end up being her adoptive mother. But I do find it a nice little twist, because at first she's evil and she's on the way to try and capture the baby to be killed. But then she ends up switching sides and ends up really loving and taking care of the baby. So really, really enjoyed her. I believe Joanne Whalley was the one. I think that's how you would say her last name, Whalley. She did a really nice job. I don't know her from anything else, but I did really like her as an actress. I think she did an excellent job portraying her character. I felt like she was really, really great. So I would enjoy possibly seeing what else she's in. If you guys know anything else that she's in, be happy to hear about it, and maybe I'll be able to check out more from her. But overall, did a really excellent job, and I really liked her as a character. So the three, basically what I consider the three main characters for this movie, were all really excellently done, and I really enjoyed them as characters. So really, really great job. Those are the three that I was going to talk about today, but if you'd like me to talk about any of the other characters, let me know, and I'd be happy to add what I think about them as well. Alright, next let's go ahead and talk about the romance. So, the romance is where... Now, I love romance. I'm a hopeless romantic at heart. Love a good romance. But I do feel like this romance was a little bit cheesy. I think that it works for this kind of movie, and I think that it was still fun. But it's kind of sudden and kind of doesn't totally make sense in the fact that he ends up getting this pixie dust in his eyes or whatever, and ends up falling in love at first sight with her. And so that part totally made sense of like why he starts spouting all this stuff, because it makes you fall in love for a short time. And he ends up spouting all this poetry for her and like saying how much he loves her and all this stuff. And at first she's confused. And after he kind of wears off, he's confused about why he said all that. And that makes total sense. But then suddenly, after she thinks about it for a short time, she's like, yep, I'm in love with that guy. Like, he ends up grabbing her and taking her hostage for a while and ends up escaping with her. And even though he lets her go and stuff like that, both of them are like, oh wait, do I actually really love this person? Like, is this a thing? And it's just so cheesy, because it's like, how can you just fall in love because somebody said that he loved her, and then he just got magicked into thinking he loved her and fell in love with her accidentally somehow. So it was fun and it was great, but it was a little cheesy in my opinion. A little bit quick, how much she just instantly is like, yep, I'm on the side of good. I'm gonna just hose over my mom and yeah, let's get married and adopt this kid together. So I do feel like it was really fun, and it fits this kind of movie. Like, it was a little bit predictable. You could tell it was gonna be going in that fashion, but still fun, but just a little cheesy, not quite as realistic as some of the other romance could have been. Like, if they had a little bit more time to develop the romance within the movie, I think it would have been a little bit more of an, what's the term I'm looking for? Progression would have been smoother, would have been more paced correctly. So, I mean, it makes sense. He is very good looking and he is a nice guy at heart, but she didn't really have a chance to learn that, and he didn't really have a chance to learn about her, but it was still really, really fun, even if it was a bit cheesy. I'd love to know if you agree with me on the romance part, or if you felt like it was perfect. Either way, it works for me. I still enjoyed it. I just thought that it was a little bit cheesy and a little bit quick for her to turn around and decide that she loved him. Next, let's go ahead and talk about the magic and the world building. So of course this is a fantasy, and of course there is magic, and there is a fantasy world that we are being placed in for this story. So that's a very big part of this movie. There are quite a few instances where we have magic, we have magical creatures, we've got, lots of different interesting things going on. So first, let's talk about what I thought of the actual world. The world, I think, has a lot of typical elements to other high fantasies. We've got the Hobbit, kinder, shorter, more innocent type people who are a little bit more like children, easy lifestyle, much more innocent in a way. And I know you're probably thinking like Tasselhoff as a kinder is not really that innocent, but in his way, he kind of is more of an innocent type person. He doesn't think, the worst of people. And as the same way, we've got these same people in Willow. So we've got kind of a shorter, childlike, more peaceful people who just are interested in living their lives and being happy about the world. And then we've got, obviously humans who are humans. They're at war, they hate prophecies, they want power, all that kind of stuff. So we've got those typical elements. We've got the brownies, which is a typical fantasy element. We've got different types of magic users. We've got the the Nolwenn sorcerer, and then we've got the other sorceress. I'm trying to think of her name. Of course, this is the one I didn't look up, but she is the one that battles the queen and was for a long time in different animal shapes. But we've got all these different elements of different kinds of people, different beings and creatures. So it is a pretty fleshed out world that we see. We see a lot of different elements. We see several different creatures. We even got those like hounds or whatever, those kind of dog creatures that are hunting down the baby. So we actually see quite a full development of this world and how it works and the different people that are in it in this short amount of time, which I think is pretty impressive considering that sometimes with movies, there's not enough time to put in all the elements that make it really, really good to having a full fleshed out world. So I do give props to having a pretty good world that is fleshed out, and it's not like it's weird that suddenly elements are adding in and suddenly when things are needed, it's just kind of thrown in there. It's actually all set up very nicely with the pacing of the story, and we learn about what we need to know in order to make the story work. So I really enjoyed this world and all the elements that they had in it. I also enjoyed the magic portion of the world and the different ways that it worked. I liked that there was that wand that was kind of powerful, but it wasn't just about the powerfulness of the wand. It mattered about the sorcerer or the sorceress using it. I really enjoyed that element. I liked that Willow or anybody else could really become a sorcerer if they had enough aptitude and enough of a little something in them that they could then make that bloom and grow into something more. And then it's not just like, oh, you either have magic or you don't. It's a little bit more of a, if you'd like to gain it, as long as you believe in yourself and you develop that, you can eventually possess it. So I liked that element as well. But I will admit that some of the magic was a little weird for me, a little hokey, and a little bit I didn't totally understand. And the main thing that occurred and was the whole troll that became the dragon. That was just weird to me. I don't really understand that scene even now as I'm like thinking about it, as I have talked about it to a couple other people who've seen Willow. I don't really get it. How the troll then becomes like this little like brain looking thing, and then he kicks it over the side, and then all of a sudden it's this dragon, this 2 heads, and it's like breathing fire everywhere, and I'm just like, it was really surprising. I did not expect it to go that way, and I'm not really sure how that worked out. Like, how did it go to becoming like this gooey, melted brain-looking thing, and then suddenly that like becomes a dragon? I'm still kind of confused, if you didn't notice, about how that worked out. It was kind of a weird thing for me. It didn't make sense. I didn't really understand how he transformed it into the dragon. Like I didn't understand that whole like transition thing. It didn't quite work for me. And I understand that then elevated the whole battle that was going on, though I mean it was already a tough battle going on anyway. So I understand the plot element of it. I just really didn't feel like it was executed very well, unfortunately. That was one thing that I thought that was my one complaint about the movie, that there was moments like that where I'm just like, this didn't really make much sense. I also, I didn't totally mind the whole thing about them turning into pigs. That was fine. But the whole transitioning portion of it was not what I expected. Especially because they end up turning into like actual pigs. At first it looked like they're just like growing into like pig-looking humanoid things. But then that becomes like actually like an oink oink pig with like just trotting around. And I'm not really sure if that transition with that the way that magic worked, that transition really worked out very well. Not that it was bad. I had no problem with the actual plot of turning them into pigs. Just seemed interesting. And then I also thought it was interesting that then it seemed like the sorceress or whatever was turning them back one by one. And I just wasn't really sure how that got done in time. Instead of doing more of a mass turning back of people. Not really sure. So there's a couple elements there that I really enjoyed the magic. I really enjoyed the actual concept of it. I really enjoyed the whole element of it. I enjoyed a lot about it, but there was those couple moments where it was used and I was just like, I don't totally understand how we got here or what's happening, that I wish was a little bit more clear. But I do really like, this is an element that I really liked about the magic, was that he had to believe in himself and he kept trying that spell and kept trying and it kept not quite working for him. and he had to keep trying it again because the sorceress just became a different animal each time. I really liked that. I really liked how he had to work on it, and he had to believe in himself, and he had to get there. So that was something I really, really enjoyed about the magic. Okay, last but not least, I'd just like to go over the comedy, because I felt like there was quite a bit of comedy in this movie. I don't know if it was intentionally to be so comedic or not, or to be considered a comedy, but I did feel like there was a lot of things that were meant to add comedic humor. That seems like a redundant statement. Comedic humor. Comedy is already meant to be humor. But you know what I mean. But I felt like there was a lot of comedic relief, especially with the brownies. They were meant to be, I feel like, a really big comedic relief throughout the whole entire movie. They were meant to bring some levity to the situation, to be something that made you laugh. So I do really enjoy overall a lot of the comedy here. I found myself laughing and enjoying myself throughout many of the moments. And I do like how some of the comedic elements were based on how kind of extreme or kind of exaggerated events that happened, and that was how we were portraying the comedy and being like, what the heck is happening here? So I really enjoyed the different comedic elements, like the brownies, like the wagon chase where they're like all over the place and they're being like bumped down off the road. I felt like that was meant to be a little bit more comedic. And so I just overall really enjoyed the comedy that they brought into this movie. Felt like it did lighten it when there was moments that were rough and like you're really intense, and then we have this kind of comedy to release it, to kind of make it a little bit less dramatic or a little bit less life or death threatening. So overall, enjoyed that comedy portion as well. The brownies, though, definitely were like the pinnacle of the comedy, and at times it was a little bit much, but overall really enjoyed all the elements that they brought, and I did really like the brownies in general as elements and as characters in the story. Okay, so those were all the things I thought to discuss with you today. Overall, what are my thoughts on a whole, as in like a review? Would I recommend it? Would I not? I definitely would recommend watching it. I don't think that it's going to be something that's just going to make you think like, wow, that movie was just the best all-time amazing movie. And maybe it will. But for me, that was not, I was not quite that strong of a thought about it. I just really enjoyed it. I felt like it was lots of fun. It was definitely worth watching, and I definitely recommend that you at least give it a try if you like fantasy. For the time that it came out, it was excellently done, and I just overall, like I said, really enjoyed it and do think that it is worth watching. So just a fun time to watch. Yeah, I feel like that's all I have to say on the general review of it. Just give it a try. It's a really good high fantasy story, and definitely worth a watch and to see if you like it, because I enjoyed it. Even if I don't absolutely love it, I did really enjoy it a lot. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on Willow, or as well as if you think I missed anything and would like to hear my opinion on any other topics, characters, or events that happen. I'd be happy to hear from you and have more of a discussion. Before we go ahead and wrap up for today, let's go ahead and go over our trivia question as always. If you'd like to join in on the trivia question, it is on the blog, fantasyfictionfanatics.net. If you're on desktop, you'll be on the right-hand side. You'll just scroll down just a little bit, and it will be there for you to answer. If you're on mobile, you'll have to scroll almost all the way down to the bottom, but then it will be there for you to answer. This past week, we did have a question of what was the TV series Legend of the Seeker series based off of, which book series? And the answer was what's it called again? Sword of Truth. I'm like even looking at it and I couldn't even find the notes, and I was like, that's right, it's Sword of Truth. Amy, get it together. Brain, switch back on. Anyway, Sword of Truth is the answer. Unfortunately, we didn't have anybody who submitted the correct answer this week, but thank you to everyone who participated, and I hope you guys continue to play with me and see if you can get next week's question correct. And hopefully if you are new to the trivia question, you'll go over there and check it out and we can have a fun time together with that game. Okay, so while you're over on the blog checking out the trivia question, go ahead and look at my other content on there if you are interested in more from me. I've got lots of different things on there. I've got book reviews, I've got book recommendations, I've got different types of recommendations like films, animes, other things that are related to fantasy. I've got some stuff on writing over there, fantasy terminology, lots of different things, some personal events that have happened to me, that kind of stuff, all over there. Hopefully you'll check it out and you'll enjoy, and let me know if there's anything over there that you would like me to write about. If you would like to get a hold of me, and down below is not the best place for you, you are also welcome to follow me or contact me on Facebook, which is /fantasyfiction1. You're also welcome to contact me or follow me on Twitter, which is @fantasyfiction1. I do post updates on there. I do let you guys know if there's any problems with filming or anything else like that. Any updates are all going to be over there, so you have a place where you can go and know that you're going to be able to see everything that I'm doing over there. You can also, of course, get updates as well as discuss things with your fellow fantasy fanatics on the Discord. As I mentioned earlier, this whole video came about because of the Discord, and I was really, really happy to have everybody let me know that I needed to watch Willow and wanted to see me talk about it. So thank you so much for everybody on the Discord who contributed to that conversation. And yeah, you're welcome to contact me directly on there, or to get updates, or to talk to your fellow fanatics. Especially if you like Willow, we've got plenty of people over there who are happy to discuss it with you. Yeah, and I guess that's going to be it from me today. I will see you guys in the next class. Bye.